Howdy Meeps, welcome to the Meeple Syrup Show. Hello everybody, welcome. It is the Meeple Syrup Show. It is Wednesday night, 9 o'clock p.m. on a glorious Wednesday in April 2019. And what's up everyone? How are you doing?
Hopefully everyone else out there is good too.
Yeah, doing well. That's good. Tonight on the show we have the one, the only Bebo with us tonight, talking about all sorts of stuff related to board game media. We have Erica and Jesse and myself, Sen, here. If you have any questions for anybody on the show, whether it's the host or, of course, our very special guest, Bebo, let us know down there in the chat, and we will get to your questions. Hello to Andrew Wolf, who's watching us from sunny California, and he just got finished jury duty, I think. So that's fun. Let's make a game about jury duty.
No.
No?
And dodging it.
Dodging jury duty. That might be a better game. No? It's still not a good game? All right. Hi, Jesse Fernandez. So let's get started. And today we're talking about board game media. Jesse, what was the first piece of board game media that you ever saw? What do you think?
Wow. Talk about digging into the ancient past.
I know. You're not that old.
No, I know, but it's been about 6 years since. It's 10 years even. Probably the first piece of board game media I intentionally consumed was the original Draken Strike, which is now Man vs. Meeple. High quality component reveal videos. Good
old Jeremy D. Salinas on the camera. I always wondered about those videos. I mean, psychologically, I understand the draw of unboxing, but I was never into the unboxing videos. I thought it was the strangest phenomenon ever. What about you, Erica?
I think people get something out of it. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's a slightly voyeuristic thing in its own way. I would see, like, especially if you don't own it, like, what's in the box?
Right. What am I getting for my $80 or $100, right? It really, like, unboxing a $20 game is probably not what people are coming to see.
No, but maybe like that Mansions of Madness box with all the miniatures and stuff.
Or like Kingdom Death Monster.
Oh yeah, that's pretty impressive actually.
Yeah, my co-parent spent like $1,800 on that whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Brittany, what was the first piece of board game media that you saw?
I am not entirely certain, but I will say I did watch a lot of Dice Tower when I first started working in the industry, primarily because my employer was like, hey, you need to know everything there is to know about board games. Go consume all of the Dice Tower's content. And so I did for like several months, many hours a day.
So I guess it was like a job.
It was my job. It was literally my job. And people did not believe me when I said I watched all of the Dice Tower. They were like, no, there's no way. And at the time I was like, no, but really, I swear.
Did you learn anything interesting from consuming that much Dice Tower in a short time span?
I mean, I learned that maybe that content is not made for me after all.
But that's a good lesson, right? Because we should learn our favorite reviewers because we don't. And that is okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it was 2013, so obviously their content has changed and evolved since, but I mean, it was 2013.
Yes.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of content available at all.
That's true. Erica, what about you? What was the very first piece of board game or game-related content that you read or consumed or saw?
That's a hard one. I think to this, I kind of jumped into like, I went purely off of like recommendations with like anything. It was like just you brought it over, I played it or recommended it. But I think podcasts were sort of what really started like consuming media and like listening to people talk about like design, talking about themselves as like, oh, this is interesting. Like I think I connected more on that level of stories. So that was a big one for me, and a big one getting me into like the industry to Tony Miller and the guys over at Breaking Into Board Games.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
Because I definitely was one of the ones it was like a few years back now, but it was like actually point people of actually kind of like getting into the sort of like, what is this industry about? And so it was funny because, you know, my first point person was a media person.
And then talks from, well, at the time it was Crits Happen, right? I watched a lot of his stuff back in the day.
Mm-hmm. You guys are going to think I'm super old, but my first board game media was probably Games Magazine and Dungeons Dragon Magazine.
Okay, I'll be fair. Yeah.
And like
the Nintendo
70s.
magazines and things like that. I will.
Yeah.
Those, but I didn't subscribe because I mean
I subscribed.
To do that.
I had a paper route. That's exactly what I did. Subscription to Dragon Magazine. Yeah, it's funny because in Dragon Magazine, what they used to have is all these like things that you'd cut, like you'd actually craft the game. I think that's where I get my love of paper crafting. Is you'd get like Tom Wham games inside, like in the centerfold of Dragon Magazine to cut and make it these playable games. It was fun. Oh, Daniel Zayas has a question for you, Jesse. He asks, what wine are you drinking?
I noticed that too. Powerful questions, guys. Powerful questions.
It's a powerful question. I'm drinking a cheap red blend that I bought at Trader Joe's. So
seriously, well, that's what it is.
No, I'm not kidding.
No.
I can't even smell that wine anymore because when I was like 22 or something, I just had one too many glasses and never again.
I've got that relationship with rum, so.
It's so funny how people have that relationship with alcohol. I talk about lemon gin a lot. That wasn't my thing. I really didn't get drunk at all. But all my classmates, it was like, yeah, lemon gin. I'm never touching it again. So anyway. Daniel Zayas said, I'm probably
it's whatever you drink so much. Yeah.
Yeah, that you got sick. Daniel Zayas said the rattle camp is
that first time.
Through Kickstarter. So that might be a thing too. It's like, how did you enter into the board game industry? And does that dictate what media you really saw as your first bite in? But let's get onto what you're doing, Brittany. Right now, you've kind of relaunched, was it last year or early this year? I can't remember, when you sort of redid the thing and you started doing this, www.BeBoldGames.com.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that's all about?
Yeah, so BeBold Games was, something when I left my old job, I wanted to do something new and I wanted to, be a little bit more inclusive and hire more people of color, queer people, give those people a platform and some visibility. And in order to do that, I had to build my own platform first. And that meant, creating a new Twitter, Instagram, Facebook page, website, everything from the ground up, starting over. And so I started by doing 5-minute how to play videos for various board game publishers. And obviously I'm a photographer. And now I'm hiring more people to be doing some writing for my blog here and there. I'm not like super made of money, but I pay people apparently more than PC Gamer does. That's what I was told.
There you go.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Just on that stat, yesterday the stats came out for how much money role-playing games are making. So there's like a something ridiculous, like a 80% increase. I don't know the exact stat, but a big jump from last year to this year in terms of income in the role-playing scene. And people are saying, well, I guess Onyx Path can start paying us more than 3 cents a word.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what people are getting paid.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
when
it's
the industry
not a
is
lot.
doing okay. No.
And so
That was on you.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I don't know.
Eric, this is hard to live off of. I really...
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately cutting a note on you guys, so I apologize for that. But yes, I'm trying to interject when I continue.
Sorry, go ahead, Bebo.
Yeah. So I'm building that platform, and then of course like rebuilding my YouTube following and Instagram, all those things. And hopefully, creating content that helps people. That's a big focus of mine is, a lot of times when I get the same question in 1 week, like I had 3 or 4 people ask me in 1 week, they asked me the same thing. They said, how can I create an inclusive gaming space? And the first person, I was like, okay, I'll write you up like a couple pages about ground rules and how to create a safer space for marginalized folks. and you can like pay me for that. And then, of course, when the other people came and asked, I was like, all right, just give me a week or two, and I'll actually go over this thing that I wrote up for somebody else, and I'll publish an article. That way it's just available for everybody. Mm-hmm. And so part of that's kind of like funded by my Patreon, and I use that money also to pay other marginalized folks. And I have a bunch of articles on a backlog, but I'm waiting on photos that I need to take for them, and I'm really behind, and I'm sorry.
No, you know what? I don't think you have to apologize. You're doing good work. See, even Tom Razzo said, keep doing what you're doing. You're a rock star.
Thanks, Tom Razzo.
There you go.
Yeah, and that's great. How hard was it to rebuild your following, your web identity after leaving the other company and starting up BeBold Games?
I mean, I'm not even like halfway to what I was when I was at the other company. But, I had 5 years to build that, and I've only had 1 year to build this. So I feel like I'm not doing bad.
Right, because if you do the math, you'll be at the level in another year, and then you'll have another 3 years past that, and you'll be like twice as big as you were before.
Right, exactly. And so my trajectory is good, but tabletop is really like a super niche area, and yep. I know for a fact that I don't appeal to a lot of the typical tabletop audience, which is fine. Because what I want my audience to be is people who are just getting introduced to tabletop gaming, who have never really played before, people that just kind of like want to find a way to disconnect and spend time with their families, but like hipster, young, like millennial types. And I feel like there isn't other than like Shut Up and Sit Down and individual content creators. I feel like there's not a lot of content for like young hip parents who are trying to like spend quality time with their kids.
Yeah, that's fair.
So can you tell us a little bit about the kinds of things you do in your videos and in your content to specifically appeal to that audience? As designers, we spend a lot of time thinking about gamers as game players, but we don't really think about them as content consumers.
Right. So a couple of the things that I do is like I'm very focused on aesthetics. I want everything to be beautiful. So I actually pay attention to things like lighting. I have like a whole light set studio. I have a couple different backgrounds that I try to make sort of appealing, but honestly, they're not at the level that I want them to be. I have a nice, pretty like purple velvet table that's a geek chic that I kind of, that's a long story, pieced together. Basically, my business manager went and got them at the auction when Geek Chic closed.
Right.
And it didn't have the centerpiece, so I made my own.
Even better.
So it's like a Geek Chic frame sitting on top of another table with an insert that I made myself. But it works.
That's great.
Yeah. And so I'm not only just trying to make the aesthetics of my videos appealing, but I'm also paying attention to the way that I'm filming the shots. I have kind of extremely fancy, expensive camera lenses. I just pay attention to things that, a lot of people that are just recording how to plays or people who are just recording content for like reviews are recording on their phones or just a regular like old camera with a kit lens. I'm trying to up the game there a bit.
Mm-hmm. And as Eric Slauson says, such nice costumes as well. I think that's one of the things I love the best about your stuff. Is that you're all in. You're all in.
Yeah, I try to do costumes for everything, but like honestly, it's a little bit too expensive and publishers don't want to pay for it. So I've been cutting back on that a lot. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, but if people don't want to put the money forward on it, I'm like, okay, well, you're going to get a normal video and normal clothes. And I'm sorry, but costumes are like
expensive.
I mean, it ends up being like $50 to $100 every time. It takes me like a couple hours to get ready. And at some point I was just like, this is exhausting.
Right? Yeah. Imagine how those people who, like I have a friend who is a Disney princess, and I can only imagine how much work that is every day.
Well, and honestly, just getting ready from a normal standpoint, like the bar is already like 7 times as high for women who have to be on camera than men.
For sure.
Like it takes me 2 hours to get ready. It takes me 2 hours to get ready. I have to do my makeup. I have to curl my hair. I have to make sure that it's not all over the place. I'm Mexican, so I literally just have like this much hair if I don't take care of it. It's way more work than people think that it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, I can't even guess. Like I roll out of bed and here I am. That's what you get.
I do that 5 days out of the week.
So, Bebo, what services are you offering to people? How does your media creation, content creation, what can you offer to people who are saying, you know, like, we'd like something a little bit different, or we'd like something that pops? How can you help them?
So product photography is a big one. I do, like regular Amazon Target product photography in the white box and make everything pretty. But then I also do lifestyle photography for things like Instagram. And typically this does not mean that there are a bunch of people in it. If you want people in it, that's going to cost you a lot more money because honestly, getting my friends over to come over and play board games is like pulling teeth at this point. I've been doing this for 8 years and they're like, Bebo, your board
Come on
game
now.
I know. And yeah, so product photography and then 5-minute how to play videos. That's, of course, my big focus is that I want to keep my videos as short as possible. Sometimes they do go longer, but, you know, that sometimes it's necessary. And, and I do, like, quick overview videos that are designed to be 3 minutes for Amazon specifically, like, and that's a very weird niche market, which are, like, just specifically 3-minute videos designed to sell a product to help people like understand what they're getting out of a game when they buy it.
Oh, that's cool. So a publisher is asking you to make a video for their game that they can then put with their product on Amazon?
Yep.
Okay, that's cool. Because I think that's kind of something that's needed, right? Is that just looking at the box, you can't really tell what it is. And so having a little demo, not necessarily a talking head, little video there could be super cool. And especially if it's done by somebody who's vibrant, right?
Right. And all of those videos like currently exist for makeup products and vacuums and refrigerators on Amazon. And so I'm just trying to like fill that void for board games.
Well, it's also that too is that, go ahead. You're going to read the comment?
Yeah. Eric's lost.
Okay, what I was going to say.
No, okay, go ahead, Erica. I think
it's my fault because of my connection. I apologize, guys. My connection sucks. My rabbit ate my cord. End of story. Anyway, what I was going to say is board games same reviews from consumers that, let's say, you know, a book might. So these videos are probably incredibly important for people who are going to be making these decisions, and this is more hoping to see from publishers more and more. Like it's not exactly, but it borders into it. It's extremely valuable if you're not getting people who are, you know, not everyone goes to review board games. Like, let's be honest, people who are reviewing board games aren't doing it on Amazon. That's what BG. So we need these things for that connection, that bridge between. Continue.
Yeah. And you're getting like a professional experience with me, right? Like I have probably $20,000 in camera equipment and gear and like all of these different things that I've bought over the last several years and that I've even been like saving up and buying on my own before I was owning BeBold. And so I think that there's actually a lot of value in that because I can produce very high quality content. But one thing I will tell publishers is you get like the amount of energy that you put in to the video that we're working on together is going to vastly impact the end product, because the more feedback you give me on the script, the more input you give me on what kind of shots that you want, what kind of costumes you want, whatever, that's going to make a huge difference in the final product. And so people who are highly attentive to details help me a lot, because refilming a shot after I've already done it is like a nightmare because you can never get your hair and makeup the same. I'm not a dude.
That is true. Just going back to what Eric Slosson's talking about in the feed, he says, "Okay, let's go ahead and start that Bebo costume GoFundMe."
I'm ready.
You're ready for that. And then Daniel Zayas said, if I can get that message to pop up there, he said, "Games are an immersion experience. The costumes are part of that, and publishers should want that additional marketing presence." So these are some people who are part of the industry who are saying, yeah, publishers, you know what? A couple extra, a couple $100 could probably go a long way and get you that 3 or 4 or 5 or 25 or 35 or 50, 100 extra views that will hopefully convert into something that'll equal the $100 you spent for the costume, right?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, and I just end up getting a little bit like timid about asking publishers like, hey, do you want to pay for the costume? Because I just found again and again they were like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I wonder if you like made that into like a form or something where they could kind of just check some boxes and send you something instead of you having to do the ask every time. That would make it easier on you, and you might actually get some people that yes, I really want that.
Absolutely.
I don't know. A question from Ming Yang Lu. Ming asks, question for Bebo. If a designer wants to create a stronger social media presence, what advice would you have for them? Good question.
So the best thing that you can do as a publisher, because I also run social media accounts for other publishers, is take the time to interact with consumers and don't be fake about it. Like, just go talk to people in the board game community. Follow them on Twitter, follow them on Instagram, and interact with them. Have genuine conversations. If they post a picture of their cat, like, tell them that their cat is adorable and you want to hug it.
Is that a tip specifically?
That specifically is my number one tip.
That's a tip, Bebo.
Everyone loves their cat more than they love you. And if you love their cat too, they're going to like you.
Okay. So growing your audience, tip number one,
talk to the cat.
Love cats.
But another thing is go through Instagram hashtags and go and like things like hashtag board games. Another weird like niche thing that you can do is look up board games in other languages and look up those hashtags too and go through and like those. And leave comments. Yeah, and I know that sounds really peculiar, but it's a way to like very quickly grow your audience with people who are looking to consume content like yours. But you should make sure that you have at least 9 photos already on your Instagram account, and they should be of the game in action. Like marketing, like edited, photoshopped, whatever, like marketing stuff on Instagram doesn't work.
Interesting.
They need to be photography.
That's really interesting because I don't do Instagram at all because I'm an old man, and so I just don't do it. It's like, what is this Instagram thing and why should I do it? But it's interesting that you say that. So we can't post like product box shot stuff. It has to be live in action because it's more candid. Is that what you were looking for on Instagram, Bebo?
It's not that it's more candid. It's that Instagram is a place where people literally, it's the only place on the internet, I think, where people literally go there exclusively to buy things that they like, that they think look good, that are pretty. It is where people go to sell things. And so what you should be doing is appealing to people's good senses. So have a nice, clean background. So I advise wood or white. Don't have any glare in the photos. Make sure that you have good lighting. There's a billion other things that go into Instagram, but most people just think that like, oh, this is just a place where I like post things. But everything needs to have a similar aesthetic. And if you want to like fit into the community, you have to kind of put some work into it.
That's really interesting. Do you have any blog posts on your wonderful site, www.BeBoldGames.com, about this type of stuff?
I don't. Somebody asked to hire me for it, but I wasn't really sure about how I was going to frame it, but now I guess I do, now that we've had a conversation about this.
Right? Well, you don't want to give away all the secrets, but I mean,
right. Somebody approached me about like how to take photos with your phone for Instagram, and they asked me like how to do this at conventions and stuff, and I was like, I'm not really sure how to teach that specifically.
That's interesting.
There's a follow-up on this topic from Ming again.
There is. Go ahead.
As someone who has also successfully built a following as a personality, what advice do you have for designers who want to establish themselves as a personality, not just someone trying to sell their games?
Again, with the like interact with your audience, have conversations with them, but also give them value. That's like the number one thing that you can do to gain an audience is provide them with something that like helps them learn. They want to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. They're looking to you and following you because they think that what you're doing is cool. And if they can learn from you, that is like a massive added value for a reason for them to follow you.
Cool. Excellent. So
remember, game designers on Twitter, people follow you because they think what you do is cool.
They do. So
It's so weird to think that, though.
that people think you're cool, Erica?
Much to think I'm cool. That's what makes it funny. I'll be honest.
That's funny. It is pretty interesting. So, I mean, I get people who follow me just because other people follow me. And so they said, oh, my friends are following you, so I figured I should follow you too, because they like people that I like. So there's definitely that as well, like that. You know, if you have a value, like Brittany's saying, if you have a brand or whatever you want to call it that represents something and people like it, they will bring other people with them. So I guess it's kind of the idea where living with your heart on your sleeve in some ways and presenting that to the social audience can be a good thing. It can also lead to some issues, I'm suspecting, but yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
There might be
that's so funny.
issues that come with certain.
Yeah. Have you ever run into that? Any boundary issues because you're seen as a personality?
Yep.
Yeah. And we can just fade to black on that one. That's okay.
It's all good.
Yeah. Noticing that.
It's important to note that, you know, getting noticed means that there might not always be all the people you want to notice sometimes, and it's something to be aware of. I think if people want to jump down that road, that more specifically for women too.
Yeah, and I will say that like 99% of the time, people are great. Like it is a very, very minor number of people who like become problematic, and it's important to note that like most of the community is fantastic, but that like 0.01% can ruin it for a lot of people. And there are a lot of times where, you know, I've been like, hey, if I had not been as committed into this community as I am, like this specific event would have pushed me out of the community for good. Right.
Oh, this is funny. Ming signed in again as Brother Ming Games to stay on brand. Really got to be on brand.
He's learning.
He's learning. See, you're teaching people, Brittany.
So much learning.
Stuff. Important stuff. Important. Eric,
we have dabbing in the comments.
Eric is now dabbing to hide his tears because we called him old in the comments. My kids are gonna laugh that I just dabbed on screen. They dislike it when I dab.
My daughter constantly laughs because she's like, you know, all these people are going around dabbing and they don't even really know what dabbing is. And I'm oh my gosh.
There you go.
What is dabbing really?
Oh, that's a story for another time.
It's not. Yeah, it's not camera ready.
Oh, I see.
I'll tell you when we go off there.
All right.
So cool. So grow your audience. Brittany offers video services for overviews, 3-minute overviews for Amazon and other point of sales type things. 5-minute how to plays on her YouTube channel.
Yep.
Right? And is it www.youtube.com/BeBold Games?
That's it.
Awesome. And on Facebook as well. And then you are writing a book, or have you already written it?
I already wrote the book. I got my proof back yesterday.
Oh, that's perfect timing. Can you show it to us? Here, I'm gonna blow you up real large.
I don't think I can show you the book yet.
Okay, well,
I got my email proof.
Oh, okay. I have the thing here, so I'm gonna go see if I can share that with everybody. But can you tell us what it is?
So what this book is it basically takes you through 100 different board games and kind of like helps people figure out what board games they want to play and narrow down like the right audience, the right groups that they should be playing them with. And it gives them a brief overview of the gameplay in like 500 to 750 words per game. And they're organized. Huh?
Nope. Carry on.
They're organized by category. And so like, if you like push your luck games, there's a whole chapter on push your luck games, so on and so forth.
And how many games are covered in the book?
102, I think.
That must have been exciting market research.
Well, the reason why they contacted me is because they were like, who really knows 102 board games this well? And I was like, hey. And so, they're entry level games. This is not like a gamer book. This is to introduce people who are unfamiliar with the hobby to maybe a game beyond Settlers of Catan or Ticket to Ride or even Monopoly, Jenga, whatever. It's really to expand the board game industry to a wider audience, which has kind of been my mission forever.
Yeah, it's very on brand.
And now it's a book form.
Yeah.
So is there more to the story of how you got a book deal other than them noticing that you're probably the only person in the world that's played 102 board games?
I mean, I'm sure lots of people have played more than 102 board games. But basically what they did was they emailed Chris Promise and asked him to do it. And then he said, hey, I don't have time because I am a very successful, busy person, because he is. And then was like, but Bebo maybe has time. And so they gave me, I think I ended up with 9 weeks to write the book.
Wow. That's not a lot of time.
It was not, and it was over the course of BGG-Con and PAX Unplugged, so I spent 3 weeks fully on the road, sometime at my in-laws' house too, a week of that in between, just working on the book. And that was actually, the downtime during travel was really helpful because I think I would have lost my mind if I had to sit in my bedroom and do it the whole time.
Right. So here's some really kind words from our once and future cohort, Daryl Andrews. He said, I think Bebo is one of the best at supporting and promoting the videos she makes. And then Daniel replied, yeah, plenty of media make the video and then transactions, the transaction's complete, but Bebo sticks around to ensure her whole audience sees the video. And I think that is really a great thing that is 100% true. I see you pushing the video, and not in a pushy way, but I mean, like you say, hey, there's some media that you might be interested in.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Sen, your audio has gone funny. You've got a robot echo.
Apparently, robot Sen is.
I thought it was me, so I went out and came back in.
Okay.
It's fuzzy robot voice for sure.
Okay, you guys do your thing. I'll be right back.
So we got another audience question. Daryl Andrews wants to know what other books you would like to write.
Oh my gosh. That's a great question. I don't know. I think that I have like a very wild life story, and not even just like my life, but also my mother's and my grandmother's life, from being like immigrants from Mexico and like currently living in this era as a Mexican woman who has a mother who would be like classified as a quote unquote anchor baby, and like the whole dynamic of that entire situation. And just, I don't know, there's a lot of really persistent themes that happened throughout my grandmother's life and my mother's life and my life, and breaking that cycle for my daughter. And I feel like that would be a really cool thing to write about, because even though it's kind of a traumatic and tragic story, I still ended up doing really well for myself, and I feel like my daughter's doing really well. And I think that it's a really powerful story. So eventually I would love to be able to carve out the time to write it.
That's really cool. Am I still Robot Sen, by the way? Robot Sen.
No.
011.
I'm eating. I'm starving.
That's okay.
Good.
Eating is fine.
Where'd Sen go?
I'm right here. Am I not here?
Did we
Do you
lose
not
Sen?
see me? No, I'm right here.
I can hear him.
I see you. You're good.
I don't see Sen at all.
You're hiding on Bebo somehow.
Oh.
Can you hear him at least?
No.
Oh, weird.
Okay.
I'll
This
be
is
right
fun.
back. I'm going to leave and come back.
All right. We're leaving and
We're
come
all
back.
having problems today. I'm really sorry, guys.
It's technology. Technomonology.
I know. I can't even get any closer to my mode. I love you, Rabbit, but I hate you right now, Sue. So.
Oh, is that what happened? The rabbit actually ate your cord?
Oh, you want to see how bad this is? Okay, I don't know. Okay, wait. See that? See this?
Oh my gosh.
Aw,
This
Bunda.
is my Ethernet. That's right.
Oh, Jesse is Tori hungry? Tita hungry?
No,
What
it
a
doesn't
rabbit.
bark, so Keita is talking to it.
Oh, there she is. Brittany, can you hear everybody now?
Sorry.
I can, especially the doggo.
Yeah. The doggos are awesome.
I love animals, period. My mom is visiting my grandma in New Mexico. And when I had Haley, the dog and the baby didn't get along. And so the dog had to like go live with my grandma, whose chihuahua just died. And so she was like, I miss my dog. And I was like, surprise, here's a new one. And they love each other so much. My mom sent me pictures of my abuela and my dog together, and they're best friends. I'm so happy.
Oh,
that is a very cute doggo.
Lana Hope is watching.
Oh,
hilarious!
That's exciting.
I know. Daniel, literally, what are you talking about? Are you talking about sea anemones?
Sea and
What is I don't know.
What happened?
I think he's talking about sea anemones. Sea anemones, but that's really
not how
you spell it.
Anemones?
Yeah.
Is this a joke we don't get?
I don't know. It's Daniel, so who knows?
Yeah, it's Daniel.
Daniel. And then Eric said, "Bad rabbit." Is the rabbit bad?
I hate you right now too. Oh, he's so cute though.
rabbits.
He's so silly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had to get a pet trimmer today, and I'm very happy.
Like a tool?
So I had like a beard trimmer, right? Because I was like, well, you always got to have buzzers in the house. And I tried to use it on my cats, and it doesn't work. Like a man's beard trimmer doesn't work on a pet.
It's too tight, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got a pet one, and it was.
I don't even have a man's beard trimmer, so I don't even know what you're talking about. No clue.
Those little ones, the beard trimmer thing. Whatever. It's weird that we know this and you don't, but it's fine.
Still don't know. Ask Andrew about my. I have one thing. I have like it's a one. It's literally a Philips one. It is a beard trimmer, so I think I know what you mean, but it's not like this kind of like kind of clipper thing. It's just like a little thing that goes.
Oh yeah, no, mine's a clipper thing.
Yeah, and it still didn't work, eh?
It didn't work on cat fur. You have to get a cat specific beard trimmer.
Is that because cats have like more fur?
It's because my cat has like very dense fur. He's a fluff ball. He's probably like fur wise closer to a bunny than a cat.
I'd actually like to see that.
So getting back on topic, I love cats.
Well, cats.
Or I love your cat. What's that? I love your cat.
Yes, cats are on topic for this topic.
I'm learning.
Like the cat pictures.
So now that we're talking about cats, I'm thinking about social media again. And before you had said that Instagram is a space where you go to sell stuff. Do you have a similar bite-sized summary of what other popular social media platforms are quote unquote for? Like, what should we be using Facebook for? Is Meeple Syrup doing something wrong by trying to be a live show on Facebook? Same for Twitter. And are there other social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So for Twitter is where you go to make friends. Twitter is literally where I've made the majority of my new friends over the last 5 years, which sounds absolutely nutty, but it's true. Currently, my best friend is TJ. He lives 3 blocks away from me. We met on Twitter because we were talking about karaokeing in Seattle. And then I was like, wait, where do you live? And he was like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I live 3 blocks away from you. Let's go to the local board game bar and hang out. And that was that. So, and then honestly, the rest of board game Twitter, I met there. And I think that that's been a really magical experience. I've made friends that I'll have for the rest of my life. And I think that if you approach Twitter as a place where you're going to sell things, you're going to fail. You're going there to make friends and a community that supports you for who you are as a person. So if you have something stupid that happened to you throughout your day, tweet about it, talk to people about it. It's designed to be like a second community, more like a family, I think.
Right.
Yeah. And then Facebook, I don't understand Facebook. It is changing every 2 days, but it is also the place that I do my live streams. So I don't think you're doing anything wrong, although our Twitch audience for TJ's stuff does pretty okay. So we average about 20 something.
Live stream is a long word. Yeah, so we've been talking about Twitch for about 2 years, 3 years now, I think. Daryl and I had thought about switching over to Twitch a while back, and then we just never did it because it seemed like a big hassle. And then when we found all these like secondary apps that would let us stream right to Facebook without a problem, or without a problem, we just stuck with that instead. What does Twitch get us beyond Facebook? What is the benefit of Twitch?
Well, for us, it's definitely building a community. We send people to our Discord channel where we actually have a pretty thriving community of people who really love and care about each other. And every time they come into our Twitch stream, we're like, hey, we know who you are. Let's talk about your life. How's your cat? Whatever.
It's these cats.
All these cats. I was just using that as an example. How's your grandma doing? How was work? We know you're a nurse, right? And so I feel like the connection with people on Twitch is a lot more personal and intimate than it is on Facebook. And so on Facebook, you're trying to gain a larger audience and have people watching and maybe teach them something. Whereas for us on Twitch, we're building a community that knows each other really well. Interesting.
There's a couple questions in the mix here.
Mm-hmm.
Tom is asking, question for Bebo, where do you post and promote the videos you create?
So I use Facebook and YouTube. That's it.
Keep it simple?
Yep. Primarily because I know how to... I don't ever release a video without captions. And so those are two places that I know make it really easy to upload captions. I buy them from rev.com, and it works really well.
So explain that. For the captioning part, you said you buy them from somewhere?
Yeah, I buy them from rev.com. Basically what you do is you just connect your YouTube account to it, and then you pay them $1 per finished edited minute, and they add in all of your captions for you. Basically what I do is I upload my script to them, and then they just rearrange it to make sense with the video.
Okay. So they're doing all this subtitling for you, but you've still given them your script.
Right.
Okay, that's cool. If something doesn't have a script, is there a service that would...
It's the same. It's literally the same rate if you don't upload your script. I just make it easier for them.
Oh, you're so nice. Very kind. Very kind of you. Let's see. I think there was something else. Daryl Andrews asked, does social media function differently for different demographics? That's interesting.
Yes.
There you go.
I would say, so for example, TJ has never had to block anybody on Twitter. I block people about 5 to 7 times a day. For women, it is a very different beast on the internet because there's a lot of harassment. There's a lot of, hey, sexy DMs. Got 2 of those today. I always message them back and say, I'm not interested, I'm married. Because otherwise they're going to keep following me or harass me, which they get angry if you don't reply. And that freaks me out more than just saying I'm not interested. I would also say that for minority people treat you like you know less about things than you do. I get things over-explained to me quite a bit, and that can be frustrating, but I've become very good at setting boundaries. And I'm not hesitant to block people anymore if they're being inappropriate.
That's good advice.
It is. I think there's a little bit of self-care in the blockage. If people are asking you to do way too much emotional labor or explain things and they're sea-lining you, then,
Right. Lots of people asking me to explain things to them, and I just usually send them back a screenshot of exactly what they asked me in Google.
Yeah, right.
Lots of people do the let me Google that for you thing, but I feel like that's a little too petty.
It is kind of funny, though. Daryl has a follow-up question. This guy with all his questions. I feel like I see blogging a lot less. Why? Is there room for a resurgence or something that has replaced it? What do you think, Bebo?
I think for blogging, what it comes down to is that it's not as profitable as it used to be. because video content exists, and
Right.
because primarily over the last 2 years, Facebook has prioritized video content over written content. I also feel like a lot of people make written content, but then they don't know how to properly engage their audience and sell their written content through things like photography and making eye-catching advertisements and a good thumbnail. Those are all like very different skills than writing, and it's really hard to find a perfect combination of both of those things, which was part of the problem that I was trying to solve with BeBold was, making short articles that are, 500 to 1,000 words, preferably not over that. So they're pretty accessible and quick to read, but more importantly, making them eye-catching. So they're paired with really vibrant, colorful photography that's not oversaturated, that's going to catch their eye in their feed, right? Makes them click.
Yeah, I think there's, I think that the day of just text without something else in there is a little bit lost, unfortunately.
Unless you want to post on Reddit and have it be buried in an hour.
Right.
Right. And
so
Reddit definitely is its own beast, and it exists, and it's very successful for some people, but I found as a woman in gaming that it was very unwelcoming to me.
Yeah, I don't even like it. I don't like it at all, to be honest. It scares me.
I find it unwelcoming, and I'm not a woman in gaming.
Right.
So we have another question on social media from Paul Saxberg. Just to follow up on your Twitter comments. So do you not use Twitter for advertising at all? Is it just for relationship building to you, or is there a little more to it?
I will share certain things if I feel like it's meaningful to my audience. I'll use my professional account to share the content that I'm creating. And I will also use my personal account to share that content. If people want to consume it, that's great. But I don't oversaturate my audience with things. At most, they're going to see 1, maybe 2 things a day that's not personal. So it's like, hey, I put my new video up on BGG. If you give it a like and a comment, that would be really helpful because you're supporting me because you're a part of my community. It helps me gain visibility. It helps the people in my videos gain visibility, that sort of thing. So
it's a little different ask than, it's more of a friendly thing than a push thing.
Yeah, I'm not marketing to my Twitter audience. I'm sharing with them the things that I'm creating and the things that I'm passionate about.
Interesting. Daniel Zayas is saying that people tune in for you on Twitch, which is different, right? Whereas on Facebook, they just kind of happen to catch the stream. Twitch seems more like a channel that you go to watch. Is that your experience so far with it, Brittany?
Yeah, absolutely. The people that come into our streams come in every week, and we have. The other thing is that Facebook, you can be kind of inconsistent with. You can set events. You can have people come to these events. But on Twitch, it is the same group of people that we are hanging out with almost every single week.
Interesting.
We're invested in them, and they're invested in us. We're like family.
Cool. I think we might have to look at Twitch at some point, just because it sounds interesting to me.
That's what we're trying to create here.
Yeah. Says that the Twitch audience is focused for gaming all the time. So it's a focused audience that are close to those desires. Like if it's not, board gaming, they're at least video gamers who are at least adjacent to gaming and puzzles and may have had that in their past and may want that in their future. So I think that's another good thing. You also mentioned Discord.
Yes.
Tell me about your Discord channel and why you started it up.
So this is not my Discord channel. This is TJ's Discord channel.
TJ, sorry.
Yeah, I know.
TJ's Discord channel.
My Discord channel is kind of dead, and I feel super guilty about it, but I'm just like overwhelmed with all of the things that I'm doing right now. My health has not been great recently. But as far as TJ's Discord channel goes, they have a bunch of different channels. They have a Magic the Gathering, like deck building area. They have Humble Brags, which is a place where you go and you tell people about the thing that you did and why you're excited about it, which, for me, I'm like, I got out of bed. But they're like, I got a promotion. And they, share, they have a whole channel for pets. So it's really just a place for the audience to get to know each other. And then for a place for TJ to interact with his audience. And I'm in there sometimes too. because I'm his neighbor, and so we live stream together all the time.
Right.
I found that being on his channel means that I get a lot less harassment than if I have my own, which is
that interesting.
Interesting, yeah. But we also have
That's sad.
Incredible moderator named Steven Trapixium on Twitter and Twitch, and Steven is just the greatest person alive, and he's so quick to catch things when they pop up. So he keeps us
safe.
That's
awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think everybody needs a Steven.
They do.
Ming is asking where to find this Discord.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let me find that out for you real quick.
All right.
All right. And so while you're searching for that, I'll just cognitively overload you with another question that's in a different direction. This is, broadly speaking, most of our designers. And so I'm wondering, and I hope most of them are too, what do you wish game designers knew about content creation on the media side?
Huh, interesting.
That a 5-minute video does not take 5 minutes to make.
How much time does it take on average? What do you think? Like 10 times?
8 to 16 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. Like it is a very long time. Yeah, it takes forever. Right. And so what I try to do in order to cut back on that time is batch 7 videos that I just sit down and record in one night and do a wardrobe change in between each one so I don't have to redo my hair and makeup. Yeah, and it really depends on the game, the setup time, the lighting that we have to do, the different shots that we have to do, how many times we have to switch out different cameras.
Right.
It takes a grueling amount of time. And on top of that, I have to go and then individually edit every single photo that I took. I have to white balance it. I have to color correct it. I have to Photoshop a bunch of cat hairs out of it.
These are words that I know are words, but I don't know what they mean.
Right.
That's why we pay people like you.
Yeah.
That's why you're worth every single dollar that we spend, right?
Thank you.
I don't think people understand that it's not Brittany with her her iPhone taking pictures on her potato cam, right? It's a serious business.
Right. I have one camera that was $3,000 and one camera that was $5,000, and they're both used for very different things. One of them you can take pictures of miniatures with. The other one you cannot.
Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. And so, what do you have an hourly rate, Brittany, or are you do you create a package? How do you deal with the publisher who says, "Hey, I'd like you to create some content"? Do you have a meeting? Is there a form? Is it do you spec it out?
Right. So typically, I sit down with them and I ask them what their needs are and how I can help solve the problem that they're facing. And then we come up with what they think a reasonable rate for that specific job would be. If they want continued marketing, of course, that costs a little bit extra. Honestly, I do a lot of I give steep discounts to smaller publishers. If it's your first game, I'm not going to nickel and dime you. I'm going to charge you a flat rate. I'm going to help you get your project out. The more I believe in what you're doing and the newer you are to the industry, the more I'm going to try to help you get off of the ground. If you're a big publisher, you can afford me. I know you can afford me. And I love and appreciate those publishers a lot. But I really, one thing that I really set out when I started this company was to, help the little guys any way that I can.
Do you think that most big publishers or even middle-sized publishers should have their own video production team or crew? I'm not saying that to run you out of business or anything, but Why don't they?
Because it's not cost efficient. Because paying somebody like me a livable wage at $50,000 a year in a big city in Seattle doesn't make financial sense for most publishers.
Interesting. What else would somebody with your skill set do for a company if they did hire you at a livable wage? You'd make videos. What else would you do?
Photography, any kind of photography, social media marketing.
Right.
Content marketing, writing,
right.
Community management.
I was just gonna say, would you do community management?
Yeah.
Right. And I think there's, unfortunately, I know a lot of people who were community managers for different games and things like that, and they're like, unfortunately, the low-hanging fruit that gets cut as soon as cuts need to get made. And it's sad because when you think about it, what brings people to games? It's community. What makes that game sell continuously? It's community. And sometimes it seems just kind of a little bit backwards to cut that person.
It definitely is, but I think that at the end of the day, like, executives that are making the big decisions don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, or money is really tight, and I guess you make the cuts where you have to, and there might be some seniority or whatever, because I'm sure community management is a relatively new thing for most companies to get into.
I mean, it also doesn't pay well. Like, community management in itself does not pay well. The reason why I have to get paid what I get paid is because I live in a very expensive city. And on top of that, I have a lot of other skill sets, like video editing, audio editing, photography editing, that,
goes beyond just a regular old community manager. Yeah.
And so I really wish...
regular, but you know what I mean.
I mean, I really wish that community management paid more. I wish that every company could afford to have a full-time community manager that got paid a living wage, because I think that that's critical, especially when it comes to working with influencers. People don't want to just work with a company. They want to work with somebody that they feel familiar with, that they like and they know. I find myself a lot more driven to complete a project for somebody on a quicker deadline when I like the person that I'm working with.
For sure. Exactly. Last question. The audience has a bunch today. Tom is asking, what about game convention presents? Do you do any services around that?
Oh, like, do I do convention stuff for people?
Yeah. Or is there a way that not you, but other board game media could do that as well? Because I know people do, but what do you think?
I think that board game convention presences are fantastic, and I love everything about it. But I am one person. And me doing board game videos on a show floor, despite the fact that I have all of the equipment to do this, is a nightmare, and I hate it, and I don't like doing it. Because I have to set up my own camera equipment. I have to haul it around. I'm 90 pounds. Okay,
I was just going to say,
weighs as much as me.
I was just going to say that I bet Funkhauser, even without Lizzie, has no problem, because he's like a living boom mic. He's so freaking tall.
Right.
He's like 6'4", right? So he's like towering over everybody. Whereas you and I, being in the 5-foot zone, we're not so good at that.
Yeah, and I have a bad back, and so it's not something that I want to do. But what I do try to do at conventions, and something that I'm doing moving forward, is, for example, I helped Origins put together a quiet room.
Nice.
And so I picked out all of the furniture for that. I've set up the floor plan. I set up the budget. We got Pandasaurus to sponsor it. The general mood and aesthetic. And so I feel like that's kind of like an invisible presence that I have there.
Sure.
And I feel like that's critically important. But then, of course, I'm also going to be their official photographer. So I'm going to be running around and taking pictures of everything and really highlighting what people are doing at the show and catching product. Being joyful. Yes.
I think that's awesome. That's amazing. And being quiet, maybe in the quiet room.
Yeah.
Before we go, there was something you mentioned. Oh, invisible. So the opposite of invisible is visible. And I know you're working really hard on making people more visible. Can you speak to us about that before we sign off?
Yeah. I guess my big thing is supporting other people, specifically women and people of color, on Twitter, retweeting their stuff, anything I think is funny, even their selfies. Like, it doesn't matter how you support the people, as long as you are helping them gain visibility and building a sense of community. I feel like that's like the best thing that you could possibly do to support those people, other than backing their Patreon or following them on Twitter, following them on Facebook, and subscribing to their YouTube channel.
Right. Do you think of Patreon as a social media thing, or is it just more of a funding stream?
I think it's a social media thing.
I think so too.
I think I've gotten 100% of my Patreon followers from Twitter.
Oh, interesting.
Like, no questions asked, 100% of them.
And so even though you use Twitter not to sell, like not specifically to push, you've been able to convert, that's a, that term, people who are your Twitter followers into people who will support you on Patreon. Mm-hmm. Is it because it's like a friends first thing on Twitter, and then it just kind of gradually gets over into, hey, we like you, we like what you're doing, here's $1 a month?
Yeah, I think so. I think that like people that like you and want to support you, will find a way to support you. And I don't push my Patreon on Twitter very often at all.
Right.
I think I push it maybe once or twice a month.
Yeah, it's interesting because I would feel so, and we're thinking about starting a Patreon for Meeple Syrup once Jesse gets back in the country, and I feel really weirdly guilty about it. Really oddly guilty in some ways, but we'll talk about it when we get a chance. Jesse, do you want to ask the final question? Jesse, are you frozen?
Oh, did he freeze?
Nope.
It's like,
I'm in.
Oh, okay. It was like mine finally worked and he froze. Like, what's going on?
All right. So, we always ask the same question at the end as our final sign off. So if you could give one piece of advice to game designers out there, what advice would you give to them?
This is a really hard question. I wasn't prepared. Aesthetics first. Like, I know that all these people are pushing games, but there is a whole group of hip millennials out there who won't put an ugly game on their shelf no matter how good it is. Make your games pretty and start with a single color palette. Your game doesn't need to have 7 billion colors. Pick 5 colors and figure it out from there.
Good advice for the publishers and anybody who's self-publishing. Keep your stuff pretty. Make it pretty. People buy with their eyes, right? Which is what you're telling us about Instagram as well, right?
Let me link you to something that I use for picking colors.
Cool.
It's coolors.co. COOLORS.co.
COOLORS.co?
Yeah.
Cool. And it's a color picker, like for a palette?
It's a color generator. And so what you do is you load it up and it generates 5 random colors. You pick one that you like and you lock it in, and then you hit spacebar and it finds more colors that go well with that color until you lock all of them in, and then you have 5 colors to go off of.
This is too fun.
It's also very fun and addictive.
Jesse's already there playing. All right, so yeah, that's no Kingdom Rush. So www.coolors.co.
Yep.
So check that one out.
And then I linked the Discord for you too if you want to post that in the comments.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we'll get that Discord up for people as well. So that is the Discord. And what night are you guys on Twitch?
So he's on Twitch all the time, 4 days a week. But I join him on Sunday nights typically, and we actually live stream Jackbox games, and so you can actually just come play video games with us.
Nice. Yeah, because you can just kind of join in as into the party, right?
Yeah, you actually play the game with us, and if you can't join the main game, you can join the audience and vote on things, and that's really fun. Occasionally, we'll play Mario Kart, and I'll crush him, but
It's all good. It's all good. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Bebo. It's been a while since we've talked to you and had you here, but it was lovely, and hopefully we'll get to see you some more over the con season. For anybody out there who's looking for some great photography of your product or great videos for your product, please do check out www.BeBoldGames.com. Look up Brittany on internets, like everywhere pretty much. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. She's out and about doing her thing, making your stuff look better. Okay, so look her up because she is a very talented person, and we love for you guys to support her if you have product that is ready to go. Awesome. So Eric Slauson saying, "Oh, that's brilliant." The colors thing.
The generator is cool.
Yeah,
it's so good. And I feel like not enough people know about it, so I'm glad.
Well, now at least another 15, 20 people know about it. So
Perfect.
Cool. And that'll be even more by tomorrow when they watch the video. So we'll see you all next time. Thanks very much for checking in. Erica, go get a new cord for your computer.
I'm buying one now.
Are you?
If you had a Patreon, though.
Well, that's the
if
thing,
you had
right?
a Patreon, it'd be covered.
I will show this again for anyone who didn't see, because I'm pretty sure I can actually break it. This is what my rabbit did. And I love that it's working now that the show is like over. I can actually hear you guys again. So I apologize to everybody.
You should just call your Patreon the Rabbit Fund.
He's been so good.
That is also pretty much a thing because Jesse's rabbit isn't with them now, but Jesse's rabbit also does things like that.
Awesome.
The rabbit fund would be okay.
We used to have a knee-high wall of plywood around our house.
Yeah, it's true. It's
for everything
true.
behind it.
Yeah, anything valuable behind it.
Well, I've got gutted board games all over the floor that are just the boxes because someday, you know what I still have to do? I'm going to post a picture of what he did to Betrayal because I had to send that to Rob still. He killed that game. I love you, but I hate you.
Yeah.
He pulls board games off my shelf, and you should see the destruction. So he now owns his own boxes. So he gets distracted. They're on the floor. He can eat those.
Decoy boxes.
Yep.
Decoy boxes.
Paul Saxberg says call it bunny money.
Yes.
Well, that might be a pledge tier, like if we can do that kind of thing.
I mean, it also sounds like a new board game somebody needs to design.
Yes,
Bunny
one of
money.
One of us should design that. Cool. All right. So, Bebo, where are you going to be this summer? You're going to be at Origins taking pictures?
I'm going to be at Origins, Gen Con, MizCon,
Oh, where's
Cool
that?
Mini or Not Expo. MizCon is in Missoula, Montana.
Missoula, Montana.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've never ever been. Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, have fun.
I'm doing that.
Have fun with that.
That's Simon, or come on, whatever they say.
I think they're going to come on now. I don't know.
It's a little weird.
Yeah,
Paul asked about Shucks. Are you coming up for Shucks?
I don't know.
It's really close.
I know it's really close, but I really hate crossing the Canadian border because I'm Hispanic.
On the way back? Or on the way over?
On the way over.
Really?
Every time they stop my car, they take my phone, they take it into a private room, they go through all my messages, they go through all my pictures, they make a copy of my entire computer's hard drive. It's so uncomfortable and I hate it.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So,
but on the way back, you're okay.
On the way back, they just let me through.
Well, yeah, because
I'm a U.S. citizen, but going into Canada is awful.
Oh,
wow. That is terrible to hear.
It's weird. So I don't know. I'd consider it.
Maybe.
Can I drive home every night? I'm only an hour and a half away.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, but then you have to cross the border every time.
Yeah, I don't
raise your anxiety.
Paying for hotels is like not in my budget at all ever. I crash with friends. I crash with friends at every show I go to.
That is a good idea, really.
I sleep on their living room floors if I have to. Like anything to not pay for a hotel.
Alrighty then. I gotta go mark papers. What are you gonna do, Erica? Buy a new cord?
I have those too, but I'm gonna go to bed, but I also have things I should have been marking.
And Jesse, you're just gonna drink wine?
Yep.
He's just gonna drink his wine.
He's like, yep, that's all I'm gonna do. Wine time. All right, everyone.
Wednesday night.
Oh, what are we doing next week? I don't even know.
Don't know.
Don't care?
We have Elizabeth Hargrave coming on, but she's in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, is next week a dissect?
Next week is unplanned. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Whoops, sorry, guys.
Yeah, but Elizabeth Hargrave is coming up in a couple weeks, the designer of Wingspan. She's awesome. We'll talk birds and science and healthcare reform and all this kind of stuff.
And her new Kickstarter coming too.
What?
Ooh, very nice. Very nice.
What's that? What's it for?
I don't know all of it yet, but I think it's lining up perfectly that she'll be able to talk about it on the show.
Oh, right. That's perfect. And Erica, do you have anything? You have Boss coming out.
Pre-orders for Boss just started yesterday, so hopefully it's going well. And I hear, Bebo, you got a copy of Kodama 3D. So
I do.
That's the Kickstarter's coming for that, I think, in a week, or I don't know. Kickstarter's weird right now, guys. I don't know.
30th. It's coming up on the 30th. I'm making the video for it, and it's got to be done by the 30th.
Okay.
That was our original plan, but I was worried because of Kickstarter crap. So I knew they didn't have anything outstanding, so they probably wouldn't be caught in any way. And that's most of what the issue is you can't have outstanding games and start new stuff. So I figured they're fine, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. And then
I'm actually off to record that.
Yeah. We have Kingdom Rush right now. We're in the last 8-9 days.
7 days.
We're 7 days. I don't know. We're coming up on close to the $1 million Canadian mark. So if you like Kingdom Rush, if you like tower defense and polyominoes and cool miniatures or not, please go check out the Kickstarter. And we would really appreciate, even if you just look at it, that'd be great. All right. So with that, we'll say goodbye to everybody. We'll be back in a couple weeks. Well, next week for sure, and then a week after that. Okay. We'll see y'all later. Good night.
See y'all later.
We'll figure it out. It's fine.
Make some games.
Guys.
Make good games. Good night. Thanks so much for listening to the Meeple Syrup Show. If you'd like to support us on all of our projects, please check out our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/Meeple Syrup. Hope to see you next week.